So there are two types of law, criminal law and civil law, and we'll hit criminal law first. So watch this link, please. Click on it in the slideshow so I don't get a copyright strike. So criminal law is a crime against a person, the state, or federal government. So let's say you come up and punch me. Okay, this would be a criminal matter because you've committed a crime against me. Or you take my wallet out of my pocket and run away. Crime. All right. Charges are filed by the state. I'd file a police report. The police report would say X against the people against person X. There'd be a prosecutor versus the defendant. The defendant would be the person who committed the crime. The prosecutor would be the state. They could charge misdemeanor, felony. A misdemeanor would be something like a traffic ticket. A felony would be something like a murder. I mean, it can be that wide-ranging. And as punishment, you could be fined, you could be put on probation, you could be imprisoned for however many years. Now, civil law, nobody's going to jail if it's a civil matter. You have a dispute between people or groups, and one party would file a lawsuit against the other, demanding some sort of redress. So, I know this was a while ago, but Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard, that was a civil trial. Neither Johnny Depp nor Amber Heard were going to go to jail, no matter how that trial turned out. There's a plaintiff versus a defendant. One party may have to pay the other party a cash settlement or perform a service required by contract. And if I remember correctly, it's been a minute, I think Amber Heard had to pay $1 million or something to Johnny Depp at the end of that trial. So then there is the judicial department, the judiciary. Article 6 of our Constitution sets up the court systems for Illinois. And it's exactly like the federal court system. We have three types of courts: the Illinois Supreme Court, Illinois State Appellate Courts, and the circuit or trial courts. Now, we have federal courts in this state too, but most everything goes through a state court first. So this is a picture of the Supreme Court of the state of Illinois. So the Supreme Court is made up of 7 judges, and we refer to these judges as justices. They're elected, as opposed to the federal level, where they're nominated by the president and confirmed by the Senate, and they'll serve a term of 10 years. And they'll hear appeals from the appellate courts and appeals from circuit courts when a death sentence has been imposed. The Supreme Court has original jurisdiction in a few special types of trials, and if you look in the Illinois Constitution, you'll find it. And Mary Jane Tice, remember the name. She's been Chief Justice since October 26, 2022. In the news sometimes, so I want you to remember who she is. So remember that name, Mary Jane Tice. Now, again, the Supreme Court consists of 7 justices, and they are elected to 10-year terms. They're elected by voters from the 5 appellate court districts. 3 of them come from Cook County. So 3 from Cook County. That's 1 appellate court district. The other 4 each get 1. You get 7. So the justices select who's going to be their chief. And the Supreme Court is a court of final appeal. At the state level, at least, there have been some cases, very few, where it's gone up to the federal Supreme Court. So the court does not have to accept any case except where the death penalty is involved. And this has been strange to me because the death penalty in Illinois was abolished in 2011. But this is still an option that's extended to the court, that they don't have to hear, that they have to hear death penalty cases, at least as far as I'm aware. If somebody wants to correct me on this, I would be, or if somebody wants to correct me on this, I would more than happily read any email you'd care to send. But it's still on the books, but the death penalty hasn't been around since 2011. So there you go. That's how it is. So the appellate courts hear appeals from the circuit courts. So it works its way up, just like on the federal level. You have the circuit or trial courts, the appellate courts, then you go to the Supreme Court. And there are 5 appellate court districts. And remember these, please. Chicago, Elgin, Ottawa, Springfield, and Mount Vernon. So if you live anywhere close to Illinois Central College, and I don't know where you're all from, most of you are from East Peoria, Metamora, that area. We would probably all have our cases heard in Springfield. And these judges are elected by voters in each district for 10-year terms. And the number of appellate court judges is set by the legislature. And currently there are 54 different appellate judges in the state of Illinois. And there's another link, again, copyright infringement. I dare not click on it. So circuit courts hear most trials. We have 23 judicial circuits in the state, and each circuit has a chief circuit judge. They'll have additional circuit judges. Aside from the chief, they'll have associate judges to help with the overflow in hearing cases and all that. The court system, both on the federal and state level, it's incredibly backed up, so you need all the help you can get, really. So circuit judges, they're elected for a 6-year term, and they can be retained by voters for additional 6-year terms. And they can hear any circuit court case they want. Then there are associate judges, and they're appointed by the circuit judges, and they serve terms of 4 years. And this was asked in a previous iteration of this class. You have to have a law degree to be appointed as a judge of any sort on the state level. So an Illinois judge has to be a U.S. citizen, an attorney, there you go, licensed to practice in Illinois, and a resident of the district or circuit he or she serves. Circuit courts, unless there's some extraordinary thing, they're the courts of original jurisdiction. You go there first. They're the ordinary trial courts. Court cases 99.9999% of the time begin in circuit courts. Appellate courts hear cases appealed from the lower courts. So, the rest of the Constitution, Article 7 provides for local government. You have rules for local governments, for counties, townships, etc. Local governments are given limited powers to pass ordinances or local laws. Article 8, finance, public money and property can only be used for public purposes. Article 9, revenue. I'm just going to fly through the rest of this because it's all the Illinois Constitution, the rest of it anyway. And you can read this for yourselves. Article 9 describes how the state can collect money from people through taxes on property, income, and sales. 10 provides for free public education for all Illinois residents through high school. Although I don't remember, I'm not so old. I remember a whole bunch of fees having to be paid when I was in high school, so I don't know what the definition of free here is. Article 11, the environment. The General Assembly has the power to ensure a healthy environment for Illinois residents. The militia or the National Guard. The General Assembly can form a state militia made up of Illinois citizens. The governor, J.B. Pritzker, acts as commander-in-chief of the state militia. The President of the United States has the power to federalize the state militia or the National Guard as he sees fit. Article 13, general provisions. So there are several rules for persons running or holding office in Illinois. Article 13 also states that public transportation is an essential public service, one which the General Assembly can spend public money on. The Constitution can be changed, as stipulated in Article 14. Amendments to the Constitution may be proposed either by a constitutional convention or by the General Assembly, and there are different processes for each option. If a constitutional convention is held to revise or amend the Constitution, a majority of Illinois voters have to approve the changes. If the amendments are proposed by the Assembly, the amendments must be approved by 3/5 of the voters at the next general election. And this is an easier process to get a constitutional amendment to the Illinois Constitution than to the U.S. Constitution, but it's still not a simple thing. For now, our U.S. senators are Dick Durbin. He's the senior senator. He's set to retire after the 2026 election. He's been in office since 1997. He's been the majority and the minority whip, alternating when the Democrats were in the majority and the minority since 2005. And there he is. Then Tammy Duckworth, who is the senior senator from Illinois in waiting. She's been in office since 2017, and she was in the House of Representatives from 2013 to 2017. And that is what she looks like. Now, this strikes me as funny every time I do it, but these are things that the great and the good think you ought to know. The square dance is the official dance of the state of Illinois. Land of Lincoln is the official Illinois state slogan. I will put these on tests. The white-tailed deer is the official state animal, the northern cardinal, the official state bird, and the white oak is the Illinois state tree. And the Democratic and Republican parties are the two major parties in the state of Illinois. So, the flag. That's the Great Seal of the state of Illinois, right there, and that was put in later on to make the flag recognizable to out-of-staters, and probably a great many people in the state as well. We just had that flag redesign contest, and we decided just to stick with our flag as is. So here is what I just call the order of precedence, right? The U.S. Constitution, that's the supreme law of the land. No law, treaty, or anything should contradict the U.S. Constitution. Do plenty of laws contradict it? Yeah, you bet. So one step below that, federal laws, laws adopted by the U.S. Congress that are supposed to be enforced by the president. All right. The legislature is supposed to look to, is that the law that we're about to pass in conflict with the U.S. Constitution? Okay, if not, we're good. Then the state constitutions, which are written out and have been for a while. It's the supreme law of the land of the 50 states, but the state constitutions have to look and see if they're in violation of federal law or the U.S. Constitution. And if they're not, they're good. Then the state general assemblies, Congresses, whatever they choose to name themselves, they pass laws that are adopted by the state government. They have to look at the state constitutions, the federal law, the U.S. Constitution, and see if those things are, if the law that they are looking at is consistent with those things. And if they are, great. If not, they should be going back to the drawing board. Then local ordinances, these are passed by town councils, city councils, aldermen, whatever the name of your governing body and the people who are in it are in your town or city. And they're supposed to look up here, and they go all the way up. They're supposed to. Nothing should be conflicting with the United States Constitution. Now, does it? Yes. Should it be? No. And that is Lecture 1. Congratulations, you survived.